Hieronymous and I are cuddled up together on the couch when the three of them get back later. I try to sit up as I hear the click of the card in the lock, but Hieronymous just wraps both arms around me as he pulls me back into his chest. "You two are looking better," Virginia says as she walks in. "Is the fight over?" "No fight," Hieronymous says calmly. "No fight," I agree. "I was just really worried about Becky, that's all. She is only in this position because of me. If something happens to her, it's my fault." Virginia gives me a look that shows she doesn't believe me, but it's enough to fool Jacob and Minnie. "Has she woken up yet?" Minnie asks softly, and I just shake my head. "What can we do for her?" "We will bring her to Vervain Cottage," Hieronymous says smoothly. "I will write to Melodia and ask for her input. Hopefully, with her abilities, she will be able to ascertain the state of Becky's mind." It's clear that Hieronymous was only phrasing it that way to show that he was trying to be supportive, and I can't help but give his hand a tight squeeze as we sit up. "So, you know I'll eat anything, but what food did you bring for Hieronymous?" "We wanted to find some classic British food to thank you for saving us, but the only English cuisine I know is spotted dick," Virginia starts, and I roll my eyes. "What about fish and chips?" I ask. "Or a classic English breakfast? Or a shepherd's pie? Or literally the only food that doesn't have a dirty-sounding name? Do you even know what spotted dick is?" "Isn't it a pig's—" "You know," Virginia asks, and Hieronymous sighs loudly. "It is a traditional baked pudding served with custard," he informs her. "Not that you would be able to find decent suet in the States to bake with." "I have no idea what that is," Virginia replies, and Hieronymous just rolls his eyes as I get up and head into the small kitchenette to see what they've brought. "You doing okay?" Virginia whispers to me, and I just nod. "Oh, this isn't so bad," I say as I begin to unpack everything they've brought. Crackers, spreads, sausages, cheese, olives. This is the perfect basis for a charcuterie board. "We also brought some vegetables," Minnie adds, "and eggs." "Do we have any cherries?" I ask. Marriott taught me how to make a cheater's clafoutis with just eggs, although I guess it's more of a quiche. "I don't know what any of those words are," Virginia groans loudly. "This isn't fair. You're not allowed to know more about food than I do." "Maybe you should just go to school to become a chef," I tease her. I can only imagine you in a kitchen in Paris trying to add flour while the mixing bowl is running so it puffs and goes everywhere. "That does sound like me," Virginia agrees. "So how do you want to do this? Do you want to just spread everything out on the table, or—" I brush my hair behind my ears and crack my knuckles. Looks like Miss Minchin's lesson on table spreads will not go to waste after all. Go sit down and let me at it. They sit down on the floor in front of the TV while I run back and forth from the kitchenette to the small living room table set before the couch to create a spread that could grace the cover of a home living magazine. "Okay," I say as I glance between the table and the kitchen. "This looks like it. I think this is it." "This is quite impressive," Hieronymous says softly, and I just blush. "Drinks!" I exclaim suddenly. "Did you get anything to drink? Or did you just pick up soda?" "Please," Jacob says as he gets to his feet. "That one was all me." He stands up and goes into a brown paper bag set down on the floor on the far corner of the kitchen. He discards the brown paper wrapping inside to reveal a bottle of red wine. "Wine?" I ask dubiously. "How did you pick that up?" "You're underage," Hieronymous says loudly from the couch. "What were you thinking? You don't have a license." "Did you steal it?" "Of course not," Jacob scoffs. "My parents let me drink. They taught me how to use a plain card and manipulate it with blue magic to make it look like a real license." "That is genius," I say with a wicked grin, and Hieronymous clears his throat loudly from behind me. "I mean, terrible. Shocking behavior. Absolutely no good." We all giggle, and I can hear Hieronymous sigh. Well, since you are celebrating your graduation, I will permit you all to have 1 glass. 1. And let you finish up the bottle? Virginia asks dubiously before her face suddenly brightens. Actually, no, please do. I wonder what a drunk Hieronymous would look like. Do you really think Hieronymous would get drunk? I ask with a shake of my head as I join him on the couch. I don't know, Virginia admits. Have you ever seen him get drunk? I just shake my head. Nope. And the only time I've had any alcohol recently was at Bej's holiday party. I wasn't super drunk, so I still remember everything that happened, but I did have one of the best food fights of my entire life. We basically destroyed an entire room filled with cakes and pastries. I spent the whole time wishing you had been there. Food fight, Virginia whispers as she glances down at the spread I just assembled, and I lean forward as if to stop her. Don't you dare, I warn her. I spent so much time setting this up. She reaches forward and raises her eyebrows suggestively. Virginia. No. Virginia. Don't you dare. Virginia suddenly bursts out laughing as she sits back on her heels. Fine, fine. So now that we have all of this food, what are we watching? I take a look at the TV guide that is scrolling on the screen. Oh, there's a trivia game show I used to watch growing up as a kid, but you guys might find that boring. Should I see if there's a good, funny movie on? If you want to watch something, let's watch it, Hieronymous says as he moves his fingertips up and down the small of my back. A trivia show? Virginia makes a face and sticks out her tongue. I don't know. That sounds educational. What if we play it so that you have to take a sip every time you get one right? I ask as Jacob passes out the wine. Then I'll never get to drink anything, Virginia whines. You have to take a sip if you get it wrong. I look back at Hieronymous. Is that okay? It's your graduation party, Tori, he reminds me. As much as I hate to admit it, drinking games are customary in the States, and far be it from me to discourage such a crass ritual. If you say so, I say as I lean forward and plant a chaste kiss on his lips. I can tell that Hieronymous wants to keep going as I pull away, but I just take my hand in his as I pull up the game show. So, this show is called The Weakest Link, I explain. It's actually a copycat of a British trivia show from the early 90s. Basically, they ask everyone a bunch of questions, and then they have to bank money. There's also strategy involved because you have to vote off players at the end of each round. Then the 2 players at the end go tete-a-tete, and whoever has the most right answers at the end wins. I don't understand anything you just said, Virginia says. Let's just watch it. Fortunately, as I turn it on, the first round is just starting, so we get to skip all of those obnoxious participant introductions. I settle down in my seat like a runner poised at the starting gate, gripping onto the couch cushions as I wait for the first question. What second most populous UK city lies near the geographic center of England? Birmingham, I practically shout. From there, it dissolves from a drinking game to a back-and-forth volley between me and the TV. One theory about Van Gogh's odd behavior is poisoning from what liqueur made from wormwood. Absinthe. What is the science of determining a tree's age by looking at its growth rings? Dendrochronology. Sarah Crewe is the fictional protagonist created by what author? Frances Hodgson Burnett. If you subtract a letter from the name of a keystroke found in computer commands, you get what violent reaction to social change? Backlash. Franz Kafka, author of The Metamorphosis, was born in which city? Prague. If you are working with a numerator and a denominator, you are working with this kind of mathematical fraction. The timer runs out, and I let out the long breath that I didn't realize I was holding to find the others just staring at me. Girl, Virginia says quietly, what the fuck was that? How did you know all that? Minnie asks. At my old school, we had to take lessons on everything, I explain. Science, math, English. The metamorphosis was actually one of my favorite stories. I pause as I glance over at Hieronymous. You knew those, right? Some of them, Hieronymous says as he smiles at me, smoothing back my hair. There's my smart little horse. This isn't okay, Virginia says suddenly. Minnie is supposed to be the smart one in our friend group. This throws off our whole dynamic. Minnie blushes and opens her mouth, but I just shrug. She's smarter when it comes to magical spells. I'm not smart, I just have a good memory for retaining fun facts. Wait, what about me? Jacob demands, and Virginia just laughs as she pushes him over. You're married to me, so how smart can you be, really? She asks, and we can't help but laugh. Okay, I'm changing the channel, I tell them. There's a bunch of movies on, but I'm going to let Hieronymous pick. We spend the rest of the night just watching silly movies like Airplane and Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It was a hard choice between that or Ghostbusters, and I was a little disappointed that Hieronymous would have to wait a little longer to learn the meaning of Who You Gonna Call. As I look down at my friends sprawled out on the floor in front of the TV, I can't help but feel relieved as I lie back in Hieronymous's arms. He still seemed to be a bit unnerved by our earlier conversation as he kept touching me and pulling me closer. Regardless, I liked the contact. I liked that he was actually able to participate in a movie night with me and my friends as if he hadn't once been their professor. I always wanted just a nice, normal, fun night to spend with Hieronymous and my friends where there wasn't any fighting or tension, just good-natured ribbing, teasing, and lots of laughter. It was just a small reminder that, no matter what dark days lay ahead, there would always be simple, happy times like this to look forward to as well.